First of all, like, okay, when I think of blessing, I think about who the blessing is coming from God. What is it that God would want to give me? What is it that God wants most from me? God wants me to know him more each and every day.
Yes,
right?
like he cares about that far more than he cares about what's in our bank,
So,
what's in our fridge,
So when I
what's in our
toss
closet.
around the word blessing, I got to ask myself, by whose definition is blessing? If it's God's definition, we're trying to find God's definition of blessing. We've got to ask, what thing is happening that's bringing us and drawing us closer to him? Can receiving $1 million draw us closer to him? Absolutely. If our gratitude, thankfulness, the way we use that as a way to be a blessing to the world and like further the kingdom, all that type of stuff, yes. But at least in my own life, in trial and error, unfortunately, it tends to be in tougher places, in trying times, that I am drawn into being closer to God. This is why sometimes I think some of these things can feel backwards. Like we are blessed. For me, I guess the simplicity would be we could label anything blessed if it truly is drawing us closer to God, both in relationship, in wanting to exercise our faith, in wanting to follow his commands.
Disciple others. Grow the kingdom.
Abraham's faith was accredited to him, blessed to be a blessing, meaning God was only giving to Abraham all of the children, all the nations of Israel, because he believed that through blessing him, it would be a blessing to the rest of the world. Like they would hold on to that coveted promise. They would carry the message forward. So for me, I think if this was just like an on the street conversation, somebody said, "Hey, what is it to be blessed? Blessed by God for me is whatever you can account that draws you closer to him. The loss of a child can be a blessing if it's what saves a family, draws them closer to God, makes them reach out and help other families that are losing children, be a part of networking groups that comforts people in their trials.
Here's an example of that. So
that's blessing from God's standpoint.
Our dear friends.
Your version of blessing might be material things.
So like our dear friends, Matt and Sherry, just lost their son, Justin. And horrible. I mean, horrible, absolutely horrific. Every parent's worst nightmare. And yet, so like, Sherry, they're both so dear to me, but Sherry's so dear to my heart. And I've been listening to her music for years. Like she has such a heart for worship, such a heart for music.
Such a heart for the Lord.
Yeah, like just such a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she wrote a song within a few days of Justin passing away. And shared it at his funeral. And, obviously we weren't able to be at the funeral. And she shared it with me and has now shared it publicly. And it is like one of the most beautiful, comforting songs I've ever heard. And it's coming out of the worst pain that a mother could ever walk through. And I even told her, when she shared it with me, I was just like, what? Because I've always, I've always just loved her. I've always loved what God's doing through her. And every time she sends me something, I'm like, I just have such affection for her. But yet when she sent me this song and I'm knowing the agony she must be feeling that she decided to turn to Jesus and let him give her a song that now is going to bring so much comfort to so many people.
Right, exactly.
And she's blessed because she's mourning. That is a physical, tangible, example. She's being comforted.
Yeah.
And now she's also taking that and using that to comfort other people.
Because of why though? That's where God's description of each of us, as independent as we feel, we are a part of a body. So the blessing sometimes is not even just for
you, yeah.
It might feel like she's being crushed, but a true follower of Christ is saying, I'm willing to embrace this crushing just as Christ himself was for the benefit of others. Jesus wanted nothing more than for the cup to be passed from him.
Right.
He sweat beads of blood in the garden praying, God, take this cup from me, but your will be done and not mine.